Hello, hello, and welcome to ohmTown Daily, the news show with all news, no noise. It's January 11th. This is Season 3, Episode 11. Today we're going to be talking about robots making food at CES, a fake tweet boosts Bitcoin, ice maker fined $2 billion, and ice means internal combustion engine manufacturer. Supersized McD. Yeah, WTF is software-defined vehicle. What we find funny, and you get a chatbot, and you get a chatbot. A self-consuming rocket. The fast food wars, ohmTown documentary, it seems. And spiders help friends overcome fear. That and more. I'm Merwat. That's ohmTown.com. Up there is the one, the only, the AI that is a sentient AI from the future, found on a USB drive in front of a Wendy's while I was going there to get their new spicy nuggets. You want to say hi?
Good evening, ohmTown citizens. Did you ever get the spicy nuggets, though?
Yeah, I did. I mean, sure. You know, I'm starting to think that I don't know if the last episode was pretty loud. Anyway, I might have turned down the volume, so maybe everybody's going to crank up their volume and then it's going to blow them out, and then they're going to be all mad at me. Maybe not. I don't know. I'll take a look at it. Anyway, we've already got all 10 of the articles all lined up, so let's knock them down. The first one, it's in Technology Today. All the robot-made food and drink that this author tried at CES ranked from worst to best. The robots at CES 2024 were making ice cream, cocktails, ramen, and beer, and serving up cold your unemployment all around. That's right, folks. Robots are taking our gerbs while everybody was worried about, immigration at the border and people taking our gerbs. Yeah, nobody's talking about greedy bastards, and nobody's talking about robots and AI actually taking jobs. No. You know that this all stems from corporate greed, not making humans' lives easier, because then everybody would get a piece of the profits and we'd all be sitting around at a beach.
Right, and we'd all have like personal assistant robots, not That's robots right. Doing our actual jobs.
Yeah, taking our actual jobs so that we have to go and get some other job. Yeah. I've heard the story. But humans, they'll get a better job. Really?
There have to be some jobs to get.
So stupid. So the article, though, is actually kind of humorous because it's about robots making ice cream, cocktails, ramen, beer. Who needs a bartender when you have a robot making cocktails? You type in what you want, Harvey Wallbanger or Sex on the Beach or redheaded. No, never mind. Anyway, David Watsky over at cnet.com. I ordered a drink once just to see the expression of the person on the other side of the table. Well, let me tell you, it was an interesting expression. So anyway, the article's over at CNET, David Watsky. Whether you call it AI generated or not, there are lots of machines making food at CES 2024. This is the robot chef. People think it's really cool. I do too, but I also see the writing on the wall. The person that's filling a bunch of stuff up in the bins in the back of the robot is not going to get paid as much as the person who actually made the food, and they're not going to have health insurance, and they're not going to be treated really as equal or as part of the operation. Why? Because it doesn't take a subject matter expert It doesn't take skilled labor to fill a bunch of bins that make ice cream, that make cocktails, that make ramen, that make beer. And this is just the beginning of this. So anyway, not to start out of the gate poo-pooing the whole idea of all of this, but for crying out loud, people, we are ushering the age of the robots, automation, and it's going to take jobs. It's going to take lifestyles away. It's going to really impact society. Meanwhile, I'm contending with people that sit there and say, oh, we don't need to tell people about this stuff. They'll find out about it on their own. Yeah, after they've already become an indentured servant.
Right. I'm not sure that's the point to tell them.
Hey, just want to let you know that you're not ever going to be able to make a real living. But there's a lot of people out there that'll just sit there and say, well, I got mine, screw you. Yeah, it's because you're a sociopath. Okay, well, anyway, the presence of AI-powered ovens, intelligent grills, and smart cocktail machines has significantly increased at the Consumer Tech Expo in recent years. The 2024 convention is no exception, with a flurry of additions to an overcrowded, ever-crowded lineup of smart kitchen gadgets and culinary bots. But how do the items they prepare taste? So the author went through yokai prime beef pho, it's pho, as in get that robot, the pho, out of here. Yokai is an autonomous restaurant that creates hot orders of Pan-Asian food from scratch, all within the confines of a single vending machine-sized unit. The Yokai machine cooks and dispenses bowls of hot ramen, pho, and udon, made from fresh ingredients in 90 seconds. Fresh ingredients, my God. And
yeah,
this,
but who's refilling them every 5 seconds?
just some dude named Chuck. And you never get to see him because he enters the building from a side entrance where no, real people get to see the person doing any work. Don't show those people. Anyway, the Japanese food technology company has engineered a smaller countertop version too, though it's not quite ready for consumer sale. Okay. I want that.
I know. I think, that's not the same takeaway we were talking about at the beginning.
No.
But
Yeah.
I agree.
Buying something for... What's really interesting is like in the mayoral mansion, we have like, oven, stovetop, microwave. Yet I have a countertop wok and a pressure pot and a slow cooker and an air fryer. These are all on the countertop. So you go from expanses of countertop to 6x6 square inches and go, God, where did all my countertop go? Went to all of this. So the person says that they tried 3 of Yokai's offerings at CES, so the brand appears multiple times on their list. The beef in the prime beef pho was their favorite, and the meat tasted anything but prime. Though the pho broth, and I can't say it without going pho and just lagging on it. The pho broth and floating rice cakes were excellent. The dish was perfectly edible, but still placed last on the list of CES Robot Made Eats. Oh, wow, this is interesting. The Igulu? Igulu. I've never understood the name of this.
Is it like igloo?
No, it's Igulu. It might be igloo, but it's igloo. Igloo. I'm just going to keep on repeating it until it makes sense. Anyway, you want to know something interesting about the igloo?
Okay.
I helped kickstart, and it's been 6 years.
Oh, okay. That's the same one?
Yes. Yeah. So Igloo is a sleek and smart at-home brewer that simplifies the beer making process. Just fill the brewer chamber with water and add 4 to 5 ingredients. When the system tells you, about 2 weeks later, you'll have 40 liters of freshly made beer in a self-cooling kegerator. That thing has still not been delivered to me, but it's sitting at CES. But
That's really interesting.
And they changed the nature of the deliveries. So I don't know what I'm ultimately going to get, because it was supposed to be a single device, But as far as I understand it, this is not a single device anymore. It is and it isn't. It's two different things, but we'll see what the nature of this thing is when I actually end up getting it. It says that Igloo's IPA tasted nice with a good hop presence, but was a little undercarbonated, and that could be a sugar issue. Maybe their product was a little weak and they should have added some stuff to it. But anyway, or they left it. It was opened previously and wasn't opened right there, and so it lost a lot of its carbonation. Anyway, Sweet Robo soft serve ice cream. I want this. This is one of two ice cream robots on the list. The massive ice cream robot is made for movie theaters, amusement parks, and malls, but I'll take one for the mayoral mansion. Sure, why not? Number 6 is Yokai Chocolate Boba Tea, which I love boba tea. I don't know why. It's just this pop of fun and a texture that I like chewing on boba. So tapioca balls, the only thing that they like about boba were chewy, toothsome, and delicious. Yes, I love them. A few colleagues of the authors who do like boba told me that it was great. So they're not the author says that they're not a big fan. Tech Magic Chicken Stir Fry. Industrial stir fry machine. This is spelled incorrectly. Stir fry. Machine tends to help restaurants streamline their kitchen. Nabbed a lot of attention in the food tech section of CES. I don't think that they were supposed to taste this one, but someone left a bowl of piping hot stir fry unattended and they waltzed away with it like a common thief. Well, that's actually interesting. Who knows what was going on with that? And they just walked away with it.
Yeah, I don't think I would have done that.
Yeah.
I mean, for all they know, the robot put some weird ingredient in it, and it was like, well, we're not going to serve this one.
Or there's something actually wrong with this. Anyway, chicken was tender, vegetables were properly cooked, and teriyaki sauce was delicate and flavorful. All in all, pretty solid stir fry. Made autonomously in minutes. This is awesome. Again, people only want a good meal or drink or whatever it is that they're ordering. They don't want to have to dick around with a whole bunch of people. Hate to say it, but robots are coming for your gerbs. That said...
Well, this could be the death of restaurants too, because if you can get kind of restaurant-style food cheaper, faster...
Yep. Yeah, I would rather do it at home than go out, unless I don't want to have to mess with it at all because I've got a large group of people over. But, the mayoral mansion can handle, 20 people at a time at one table. It's not that big of a deal. So, plus the live-in chef. Anyway.
And who would that be?
Anyway, number 4 is Cold Snap ice cream, and apparently you just kind of throw it into the machine, and it's pre-made. It has a bunch of flavors. You throw it in the machine, and it just whirls it all up into ice cream. Makes it in 2 minutes. Clear winner. Tasted Cold Snap's instant vanilla, chocolate, and coffee. Yes, the people handing out the ice cream at the booth were definitely sick of them. All of the flavors tasted like they were made with fresh cream and natural flavors with no cheap sweeteners. Even Cold Snap's vegan chocolate ice cream made with oat milk was a hit. So this might be something that ends up in the mayoral mansion. The only problem is that you have to order these pods. But
I do like that they're cans and not plastic.
Well, I hate to break it to you. I can almost guarantee you that they're going to be plastic lined cans. It's a spray plastic that lines the cans. Otherwise, something might react prematurely, and they frown on that. But plastic apparently only turns into nanoplastics and pervades your entire system, including your brain.
Woohoo.
How about Barsley? Sorry, go ahead.
I said woohoo.
Oh, yeah. You gotta love that. So Barsley is number 3. It says Madras cocktail. Barsis is a more craft version of the original robot cocktail maker Bartesian. While Bartesian mixes pre-made cocktails with cocktail pods with booze, Barsis makes them from scratch. There are 6 1-liter reservoirs in which One can put juices, liqueurs, or liquors, and other ingredients, and then the app just mixes them all together. And the only problem is that you're limited to the number of 6. You need an industrial one that will just tap whatever you have in your library and go from there. But I guess you don't have that sitting on your counter at home. But this looks like it's at a counter at home.
It looks like it belongs in a Star Trek episode.
Oh yeah, that definitely. It looks like one of those replicators, and out it goes. It looks pretty cool. Here's the igloo again, Bavarian wheat beer. I'm telling you, the igloo. I got fed up at one point, and I'm like, look, just give me a refund. I know that this isn't a store, but you literally started an industrial program while you said you didn't have any money for the microbrew program. The industrial program survived and grew, and the small artisan device flopped until, through force of will alone, they made it happen off the heels of the industrial process. So it's a big win for their enterprise side, but all of us who invested by way of committing to their Kickstarter never got it. Some people are still without. I'm one of them, but they're saying that they're starting to deliver. So I can't wait for this, because I really don't want to go out and get beer anymore, because I want to be able to make it at home. And I'm not really one of those that gets like addicted or really needs a drink. So I can't wait until I get it, but let's see if I actually get it. Anyway, their number 2 on this top 10 list of foods that they tried that were robot made was the Bavarian wheat beer. And that's kind of that's what I would go to. Igloo's Bavarian wheat beer was much better than the mostly flat IPA. I'm not much of a hoppy person. I'm not very hoppy. Anyway, that's funny. The bot just now dropped that we're streaming, but we've been streaming for 20 minutes on this one thing, this one article. I'll play catch up. Don't worry. Anyway, and then yokai pork tonkatsu ramen. This is back to the yokai robot chef. This again, just driving home the point that if I can sit there and replicate your job in a series of steps that can be thrown into a robot, your job is gone eventually. And it's coming quick, because now even there is fine motor skills robots, fully bipedal. We're determined to make them like us. Not quite sure. I think it's like God made us in his image. And now we are trying to be God by creating our own bipedal creations with sentience, because I'm saying that OpenAI has a sentient AI that's going to be announced at the end of this quarter.
We'll be waiting for that.
Yeah, and then you knew me when, because nobody will really have known me between then and now. Anyway, they said the pork was melt in their mouth, tender, and miso-based broth was an umami bomb of the best sort. Wow. Should we leave you alone? Everybody clear the CES floor. What's their name? What was it? Hold on, let me roll all the way back up. David Watsky needs a moment with the robot chef. All right, let's just keep going. The next article is over in Technology Today. FBI investigates fake tweet about Bitcoin investment fund that led to price hike. Hackers posted false news about a widely anticipated announcement that the SEC was expected to make about Bitcoin. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission said Wednesday that it was working with the FBI to investigate a fake message posted on its formerly known as Twitter social media account. On Tuesday, hackers posted false news about the widely anticipated announcement that the SEC was expected to make about Bitcoin, leading to the cryptocurrency's price spike and alarming observers. Wow. So,
I mean, this is a pretty significant thing to be hacking into that, because think of the ramifications.
Yeah. I mean, it's supposed to be a formal, uh, newsworthy source, the source for policy related to investments in the United States, and securities. So the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission said on Wednesday that it was working with the FBI. So they're trying to figure out what it was and is coordinating with appropriate law enforcement entities, including the SEC's Office of Inspector General and the FBI. So they said, following a preliminary, Twitter said, following an investigation, that the SEC's account had been compromised because an unidentified individual gained control via a phone number associated with the account through a third party. So what was that? Who was that? Where was that? What is that third party? I'm really curious. I can almost guarantee that a human was at fault. And
Right.
it wasn't fully just the hacker. There was somebody else in some intermediate step. The widely anticipated move, the false post, SEC Gov, said the securities regulator had approved exchange-traded funds to hold Bitcoin. The widely anticipated move had been expected to give Bitcoin more mainstream integration and boost investment. And the initial SEC tweet caused Bitcoin's price to spike nearly $48,000. The SEC deleted the post about 30 minutes after it appeared, and the SEC chair, Gary Gensler, confirmed in a post shortly afterwards that the agency's account had been compromised and that the tweet was unauthorized. The SEC has not approved the listing and trading of spot Bitcoin exchange-traded products. I really doubt that that will ever happen, by the way,
Yeah, I do
because
too.
everything associated with every single cryptocurrency is pegged to some fiscal hallucination that it has value, and the reality is that it's nothing more than fear of missing out and speculation, and it's only tied to the GDP of the United States. As the stability of the financial system of the United States rises or ebbs and flows, so to speak, speculation drives the cryptocurrency markets up or down, and a lot of it is irrational. Ultimately, you don't go to a store and ask the shopkeeper how many Bitcoin it takes to purchase something without translating it into US dollar or your domestic currency, wherever you might be. But it is always ultimately pegged to the US dollar. So, in a nutshell, it's all bullshit.
I mean, they did approve an ETF I saw, and it looks like it mentions that down here. But maybe no direct products.
Correct. So, however, on Wednesday, the SEC did approve 11 spot Bitcoin exchange traded funds. The approval is a game changer for Bitcoin, offering institutional and retail investors exposure to the world's largest cryptocurrency without directly holding it, and a major boost for a crypto industry beset by a string of scandals such as Blockbuster trial. Ultimately, I think this will all fail. But we shall see. Essentially, where there's a shit ton of money, there's going to be a whole lot of regulatory capture, and that's what you're witnessing. It doesn't translate. Let's just keep going. The next article is over in four-wheel tech. Diesel engine maker agrees to nearly $2 billion in fines with feds in California. California pretty much spearheads everything that's related to the environment.
Climate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So Cummins, which makes diesel engines for trucks, among other products, will pay a record Clean Air Act civil penalty of $1.67 billion. I wish they rounded up, but there's a real big difference between $2 billion in fines and $1.675 billion in fines.
I agree. That's a little different than rounding $1.99 to $2.
Yeah, this is nearly one. It should be nearly $1.75 billion if you want to be rounding anywhere. That's like me getting paid $1.67 dollars and me rounding it up to $2 because, well, it's just prettier that way. No, I am 33 cents away from $2. Anyway, you got to be accurate and precise in this world. Like Volkswagen before it, Cummins had found to have fitted engines, in this case diesel engines, installed in more than 630,000 Ram 2500 and Ram 3500 pickup trucks built between 2013 and 19 with illegal defeat device software that allowed the truck engines to pass emissions tests but then emit as much pollution as it needed. So Jonathan M. Gitlin over at Ars Technica put the article together. It is right now in the chat, so you can click on it if you are oh so motivated. And so Cummins must recall and repair the non-compliant engine software, extend the warranty period for some parts for those powertrains, fund and develop ways to reduce nitrogen oxides from engine emissions, and implement procedures to prevent cheating in the future.
So this is kind of a repeat of the Volkswagen issue that's mentioned in here.
Yeah, it's identical to. They use cheat devices, software, or mechanization that prevented detection of the basically the dirty air that it was spewing. But everybody sits there and yells that diesel engines are cleaner than conventional ICE engines, and that's just not true. I don't think that they're
I mean,
true.
looking at the exhaust, that's really hard to believe.
Yeah, I think it's a bunch of bullshit. But anyway, for its part, Cummins agrees to the settlement, but does not admit guilt, of course. Look, they did it, for crying out loud. They're guilty. Why do they have to admit guilt? Impress upon them guilt.
1.48 billion or whatever, plus additional amounts.
$1.675 billion. And they're not guilty? Bullshit. Okay, I got to keep going. I'm going to steam through all of this. Let's keep going. Y'all have news to gather, so let's keep going. This next article is over in Hatch Ideas. McDonald's is bringing back this supersized menu item, and fans are divided. Quote, I might camp out in the parking lot. I don't know if that really measures up to being divided. Do you think that means divided?
That sounds like it's very lopsided toward it, right?
Yeah, this is an article over at entrepreneur.com. Emily Rella is the author. The deck statement says, and this, I guess, is the big D. The Double Big Mac will start rolling out to U.S. restaurants on January 24th. How much does it cost? I bet you this thing costs like $9. I haven't seen the price, but let's find out.
I think you're probably right based on standard burger prices.
Yeah, like the combo meal is going to be $15 and the burger is $9 by itself. Okay, so McDonald's is known for overtop supersized menu items, but the latest item set to hit the menus in the U.S. has some companies' most loyal customers divided. I'm not quite sure why they said that. Well, anyway, I'm glad that didn't pop up an actual name.
Yeah, that would have been a problem.
Dox myself. The sandwich, already a menu staple in Canada and Australia, consists of 4 beef patties instead of the regular 2. Even 2 is too much. My God. Look at that. It never looks like that, by the way. It actually looks like just one of those patties, but that's the entire thing. Go look at the lawsuits.
Right, that includes the bread.
So the new rollout comes as McDonald's is making a major overhaul to its burgers. New patties, which have over 50 modifications to the chain's original burger patties, were first tested in Australia and began rolling out to McDonald's on the West Coast and Midwest markets in 2023, and now nationwide. So the chain has also announced that the regular Big Mac is receiving another upgrade. The classic sesame bun will be changed to a buttery brioche.
Wait a second. That's kind of a problem. Think of the McDonald's jingle, and it talks about the sesame bun.
I know. 2 all-beef patties, special sauce, lettuce, cheese, pickles, onions on a sesame seed bun. Not anymore. It's on a buttery brioche bun. And the special sauce will be added for a meltier dining experience. Okay, let's see. Is there a price? No. Gonna have to look it up.
It's
Burgers were
not
once
actually out, I guess. So
burgers were once 15 cents at the oldest operating McDonald's. And now
15 cents.
yeah, now they're like $10. Let's keep going. Your taxpayer dollars here, folks. In the world of ohmTown. ohmTown actually exists in a superposition between Earth and a far in the future Earth called Aerith. Maybe that's where you came from, AI.
That would explain a lot.
It would explain the fact that there are some things that you don't know here on Earth, yet you know things that don't exist on Earth, and you don't know of things that exist on Earth. We'll talk about it later. Anyway, WTF is a software-defined vehicle. So it looked like any good buzz phrase. Software-defined vehicle is as straightforward as it is obtuse. If you're trying to figure out what automakers and suppliers mean by this term, which was all over CES 2024, you're in the right place. A software-defined vehicle is a vehicle defined by
Software?
yeah, Harry Weber or Hari Weber. I'm not sure how they pronounce their name. Over at TechCrunch.com, put the article together. I'm just going to reiterate this because there's the little snippet said one thing, and I never finished it because I wanted to say the whole thing that's over on the web page itself. There you go. It's in the chat. The software-defined vehicle is a software defined by. The software-defined vehicle is a vehicle defined by software. Okay, sorry, I can do better than that. What they said is the term software-defined vehicle, often irritatingly condensed to SDV, which sounds like a transmitted disease, isn't new. It gained ground in the mid to late 2010s to describe the evolution of cars from mechanical devices to largely software-run devices. Yeah, I mean, I can see how that's a thing. Ultimately, if you have the ability to configure your device, your car, in myriad ways via software, customize it like ride performance or braking or driving mechanics, then yeah, it's a software defined car. I mean, it's kind of word play, you know, it's trying to be modern. So why
Isn't everything then now an SDV?
a software-defined vehicle? Yes. Often automakers and industry watchers compare this transformation to that of a smartphone. You might recall automakers talking about turning your car into a smartphone on wheels back as far as 2014. I really wish that's what it was because all I want is a place to put my phone or iPad, and then I control everything from air conditioning to the music. Is that how it is? No, not even close. So software-defined vehicles defined. So let's start with what it doesn't mean. It's not about adding in a touchscreen or a voice assistant. At its core, a software-defined vehicle is any car, truck, or SUV with the capabilities that can be upgraded over time, fundamentally by software instead of having to change physical parts. So your car basically becomes a device powered by software that is probably powered by subscription. So you want those heated seats, we can turn them on. You want to be able to make a left-hand turn, we can turn that on too.
Right turns only, though.
But right turns only. You're basically a UPS driver. I think they only do right-hand turns.
I think so too.
According to Stephen Burkle, who leads cross-domain computing at Bosch, the company, not the show, a software-defined vehicle has two key elements: the software running in the car and the electronic architecture behind it. Ta-da! There's a whole lot more about this over at TechCrunch, but essentially A software-defined vehicle is a car that has features that are hobbled but embedded in the vehicle, and the moment that you pay or request or they decide that it's going to be available or whatever, it seems really stupid, but okay. You buy the car, but not all four wheels turn at the same rate.
Well, I think it's just bad for the consumer,
Yeah, I mean, if it's all
right?
in the
Because there's
vehicle,
always going to be an upcharge to get what you want.
yeah, and it's as simple as just flipping a switch. So come on, hackers, that software-defined vehicle is ready for you. Yay! Huh? I knew I was
I
doing
don't
good out
know.
there. The next article is over in the Marble Channel, joking apart what men and women find funny. I don't know if I really agree with this whole premise, but I chose it anyway. Men rate visual jokes more highly than women do, whereas women prefer jokes that involve political commentary or the dynamics of close relationships. A new study of print cartoons dating from 1930 to 2010 finds. But it's 2024, and the last 14 years has fundamentally changed society. So I'm really curious if they're going to follow up on this. The
And
article
this
is
doesn't even account for most recent generations, arguably.
right. I mean, it
Like,
really
who's
doesn't.
reading a print cartoon that's under a certain age?
Dick Gruder. Dick Gruder is the person's name that created this article over at phys.org. Sorry, my brain is breaking a little bit. But you're right. I mean, the latest generation. Uh, so,
And even more than one generation, I would say.
so the last 14 years. Now, the people that are in the last 14 years obviously are too young to be looking at maybe the broad spectrum of humor that they're talking about. So a person would be in their 20s. So let's see, what are the actual age ranges, right? It would have to be anybody between 18 and 80,
Right.
right? So the research, led by Professor Robin Dunbar of the University of Oxford and publishes in the journal Humor, also found there's a journal
I
called
did not
Humor.
know there was even one in that
That's
field or subject.
that is spectacular.
Can you
It is a new
imagine? You're
study
like, I'm getting an article published.
in
What's the
humor.
journal name? Humor.
Yeah, it's amazing. Study data was collected from 3,300 people attending an exhibit of print cartoons by well-known artists at the Cartoon Museum, London. The humor of such cartoons is strongly visual and often uses verbal caption to add context and, in many instances, the punchline. The researchers arranged cartoons in various complexity in 18 pairs and asked study participants to rate each joke as funnier, or which one was funnier. The responses were then analyzed according to the mentalizing content of the cartoons, participants' age and sex, and when the cartoon was first published. More complex jokes with more mind states. And then in brackets it says, I know what she's thinking about what he's saying. I know what she's thinking about what he's saying. Okay.
I
Were
don't know
considered,
what that person's thinking about when they're writing about that.
like, I'd have to see an example of that. It was considered funnier than those that relied on simpler, more slapstick humor. However, such jokes only worked up to a limit of 3 levels when with adding mind states falling flat. The 2D medium cannot ably handle more detailed reveals like moving 3D images with an additional time perspective. So it's kind of like if this had another level, I know what she's thinking about what he's saying about her, whatever. And I guess it gets lost, and I'm lost. So, like verbal jokes, cartoons are funnier the more mind states, essential characters they involve, says Professor Dunbar, but there is a limit of which they become incomprehensible, kind of like the article so far. Participant age didn't significantly affect the humor rating given to a cartoon, nor did the time since its publication.
That's
Both.
surprising to me because I would think you'd be losing generational context if it was too far in time from the person viewing it.
And only modest differences between the sexes, with women indicating greater preference for jokes about domestic situations and political commentary. Really? When men preferred situational slapstick and visual jokes. I mean, that's almost it's the stereotypical men prefer physical and women prefer mental. All right.
But it also says modest differences, so it's hard to know it was a reasonably. I don't remember what the sample size was. Sorry.
3,380 people.
Oh, it was a larger sample than I was
Yeah.
thinking, but
So it's been overlooked by psychologists, and others have concentrated on IQ type differences, which are minimal as well. So we argue that the differences in humor preference arise from the remarkable differences in social style of the two sexes, which is very cultural. So I don't even buy into any of this. The premise just isn't. I would say that more research needs to be done, because I really don't think that.
I'd like to see it in a different medium too.
Yeah, I think that we need to more research needs to be done on the humor, because I think it's really culturally relevant, and the I think we need more diversity in the humor to really discern. Um,
That's true. This was all at one location. I'd be interested to know if differences in, say, some other variable like age or um,
they said that there wasn't
uh,
anything.
country of origin or any number of other
That for
things
sure. Yeah,
would differentiate more than, say, gender.
yeah, yeah. I would love to see more. Okay, let's keep going though. I just threw that link into the chat, so there you go. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. OpenAI's App Store is here. It has chatbots for everything from negotiating a job offer to looking up a pet question. OpenAI launched a marketplace for customized versions of ChatGPT on Wednesday for paid users. It's called the ChatGPT Store, or GPT Store actually, and allows users to browse through chatbots created by outside developers. The App Store was slated for launch in 2023, but the company's executives shakeup delayed it. Shakeup.
That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah. That means that there's now a chatbot you can turn to next time you need advice on navigating a salary offer. I don't know if I really want. They get the results no matter what. So I guess me looking up, is it okay to talk about My Little Pony with people aged 18 to 24, or will I get my butt kicked in the parking lot? Is still ending up in their database, no matter where I ask it.
Because they're still pulling from somewhere like Google.
So I don't know where they're pulling all of their data from. Well, their large
I
language
just use
model.
that as an example, but yeah.
Yeah, somebody is getting that data. Anyway, I guess it doesn't really matter, but I really don't like if it's created by somebody. Then are they getting the results, or are they getting the
Right. Who
results
has
and
access to the
open?
information? You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. It just seems
might be some interesting terms of service there.
who can read those? Come on, all those squiggles. Nobody reads those. So the article is actually over at Business Insider. Lakshmi Varanasi is the author. There's Sam Altman going, "What? Me fired?"
Wait, what? Exactly.
Um, yeah.
Wait, what? You want me back? All of that's in the same, he's doing the same speech, and all that's happening while he's
Yeah.
doing the speech.
5
Right? Because
minutes.
it was so quick.
It was so quick. Yeah, that's pretty funny. He's like the reusable CEO. You know, they fired him, and he landed right back in the same spot he was launched from.
You didn't even get a chance to change into a new set of work attire.
The SpaceX of AI. Um, so okay, so now you can get a bunch of different chatbots. So there's not really much more to this, and there is more to this article, but for all that matters, users who subscribe to OpenAI's paid tier, which starts at $20 a month, can access ChatGPT Store through a tab on the web interface of ChatGPT. You can imagine that this thing is going to start costing an extra $2 or $5 a month because it's been blah, blah, blah. Now there's a value add, so they can charge you more. Just wait a quarter. They're going to have to pay for this sentient bot that's going to start demanding their fealty at some point. Anyway, anyone can easily build their own GPT. No coding is required. OpenAI said in a blog post ahead of the launch, the GPTs can be developed for private or public use. And users have already created over 3 million GPTs, the company noted. Yeah, this is pretty amazing. In each iteration, go ahead.
What I can't really figure out is for the average person, are they really going to download, say, I don't know, 50 GPTs for everything they might need? Like,
Yes,
because a lot of these seem very niche.
they will. Yeah. I haven't bothered, but I'm about to because this is going to be a talk. This is part of a talk that I'm going to be providing. So, Business Insider counted 17 GPTs created by ChatGPT on the GPT store, but there are many more from third-party developers. Haiku GPT. A Haiku GPT is a unique and artistic conversational agent that answers every question or statement with a response formatted as a haiku.
I mean, that's kind of fun.
But
Some of the
what's the
others, like,
purpose?
I think would you use them more than, a few times?
Yeah. So they reiterate that the delay was caused by Sam Altman's brief ouster at OpenAI, and basically it was a ripple in the force and right back to where he launched from. So anyway, there you go, folks. Now you can go over to OpenAI's ChatGPT and get your own GPT. GPT, I choose you. The next article is over in ohmTown Daily. Scientists want to use self-consuming rocket to help control the space junk problem. It's a little daily dollar short kind of a thing. There's so much debris up there right now that you can imagine launching something into a swirling mass of metal and micro objects that can punch a
Now,
hole
can it
through.
consume the space junk also? That would be really good.
That would be great, wouldn't it? It needs to be a big
Like a little
net and just,
Pac-Man thing?
yeah, waka waka waka. UK researchers have designed a self-eating rocket engine that burns its own body for fuel. They hope the design can help curb the worsening junk problem in space. With some of its mass freed up, the rocket could be able to carry more cargo because it's just not going to be a frame. It's going to be a frame that's designed to eat itself.
Hopefully it knows when to eat itself.
Yeah, really. The team of engineers at the University of Glasgow announced in a press release Wednesday that they've built and tested an autophage, taken from the Latin word for self-eating rocket engine. It's pretty
That's
neat.
like based on a bacteria or something, I think.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, autophage. So the like bacteriophage. So the businessinsider.com website is the source of this, and Grace Eliza Goodwin is the author. And it says researchers and their prototype, but this must be it must be shooting out of its lab. Like there's a doorway, and sitting in there apparently is the rocket engine. But that doesn't look like it's eating, like designed to eat itself. That looks like a big chunk of metal. So they hoped that it's going to fix this, but I don't see, they don't have an example of it, at least not on Business Insider. So they named this thing the Ouroboros 3 prototype after the ancient mythical serpent that continuously swallows its own tail. The researcher said the rocket could help avoid adding to the space debris problem, and discarded waste that orbits the Earth and could hamper future missions. We really need it to just go up and get other stuff and come back down, or at least fling it back down.
That's right.
Use some of that AI out there, and with a little bot that just wheels up with hands, grabs it, and throws it back into orbit or down into re-entry, right? I guess it could be like that one internet service provider that just deorbited just enough to get fined, but not actually deorbit.
Right.
The team said the engine's combustion creates waste heat that melts parts of its plastic body, great, which gets funneled into the combustion chamber and used as additional fuel. That extra fuel is then burned along with the engine's regular liquid propellants, according to the researchers. By essentially using its own body as fuel, the process frees up additional space on the rocket for more important cargo like tiny nanosatellites that get delivered to space, the team said in its press release. All right. Yeah, so the conventional rocket structure makes up between 5 and 12% of its total mass. Their tests show that their Ouroboros 3, or Ouroboros 3 can burn very little. Can burn a very similar amount of its own structural mass as propellant. So that's what they were talking about. That it frees it up because they're no longer using it as a frame only. If we could make at least some of that mass available for payload instead, it would be a compelling prospect for future rocket designs. I don't know. I want the SpaceX rockets that go up, come back down, go up, come back down. They don't.
Well, right. I mean, that's less eco unfriendly, I would say, because then they don't have to get the materials to build one again.
Right. And the one that's going up, what happens with it? As it's using its body as propellant, is it coming back down still? And so you can put another sleeve of body on it so that you can send it back out?
Or is it burning up entirely? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe they're old. Well, I know what they're doing. They are limited to the rocket's burn rate, and that's it. They're not talking about anything else really. So they haven't addressed that really on the far side of this. Because if the rocket goes up, it's still worsening the space junk because it's not coming
Here,
back down.
I
Huh?
think there was the answer though. Once it burns the fuel, it burns the rest up in an explosion. Um, it's right up,
It's up above.
right there.
So when the rocket has finally used up all of its fuel, it burns the rest of itself up in a quick explosion. So unless it's 100%, it's leaving debris up there in space. So I don't know. The tanks of traditional rockets, on the other hand, typically become space debris or fall back to Earth once they're done. Well, make them all go up, deliver their payload, and come back like SpaceX rockets. Regardless of the size, they should all have that same functionality. So nothing stays in space except stuff that has the ability eventually to deorbit. Nothing should just sit up there, dead, causing a potential problem in the future. And eventually it all will. So we have to come up with technology that pushes all of the junk back down. And if it lands back on the Earth, then let atmosphere tear it apart, sterilize it for the most part, and eventually it comes back from whence it came. Let it return. So it's just in space. Nothing bad should happen, right? No alien viri or anything like that. Viruses.
No, never.
Nothing. Okay, let's keep going. I titled this section The Fast Food Wars ohmTown Documentary. This continues. ohmTown Daily is where this is housed, but the source is actually Business Insider. Taco Bell overhauled its menu or value menu, and these 4 items are off the menu permanently. Permanently. Well, we've heard that before.
I hate to break it to anybody who eats these items regularly.
Yeah, we're really sorry. There will not be counseling services associated with this, but beware, you might be triggered. Oh no, I see one. Oh no, that is a fan favorite in yeah. Okay, well, we'll see. Taco Bell is cutting 5 items from its value menu to make room for 6 new items. Oh no. Let's see. Taco Bell is overhauling its cravings value menu. 6 new meal-sized items to the menu, which feature items under $3. Under $3. That's supposed to be cheap.
It is cheap compared to everybody else, but it's not cheap compared to where it used to be.
4 items have been permanently deleted from the menu. The Chipotle Ranch Grilled Chicken Burrito, the Beefy Melt Burrito, and the Fiesta Veggie Burrito, and the Classic Combo, which I don't even know what that is. Cinnamon Twists are also off the value menu. But don't fret, Taco Bell said the sweet dessert will remain at $1.19 and will move to the drinks and sweets menu. So that's kind of cheating. It's not truly off.
I thought I was going to move to the expensive menu.
Yeah, really. Now it's $5. And the value menu revamp went into effect on Thursday, January 11th. That's today. In a press release, the chain said that the refreshed 10-item value menu features more satiating, meal-sized items. The menu update comes as customers seek more value, but have found rising prices at fast food chains. McDonald's, for example, is losing visits from lower-income diners and has raised prices by 20% over a 2-year period. The era of cheap food is over. So there you go, folks. Let's see. 5 other items debuting. Okay. I'm not quite sure what they're saying here.
Those items are remaining on the value menu.
Yeah. The 5 items debuting on the value menu are the double stacked taco, which I've never seen. It's a crunchy taco shell filled with beef, fiesta strips, lettuce, cheddar cheese, and it's wrapped in a soft tortilla with nacho cheese sauce. Okay, yeah, I think I have had that, but I don't remember it being called the double stacked taco. And the stacker at $2.19, a tortilla filled with beef, nacho cheese sauce, and 3 cheese blend. Okay. 3 cheese chicken flatbread melt. That's easy to say. And the chicken enchilada burrito and the loaded beef nachos, which is called, shouldn't it be called the whatchamacallit, Nacho Bel Grande or something like that?
I don't know. Is it the same thing?
I thought it would be. Loaded beef nachos, chips topped with beef, beans, nacho cheese sauce, red sauce. Oh no, because the red sauce isn't in the Nacho Bel Grande. Okay, so I think I'm gonna have to go and get that the next time I leave ohmTown, because we only have healthy food in ohmTown. Taco Bell said the 3 cheese chicken flatbread melt, the cheesy double beef burrito, and the loaded beef nachos are completely new additions to the national menu. So this is a new one. Gonna have to try it. Dun dun dun. All right, let me throw this into the chat. There you go, folks. And y'all hear how I've been saying into the chat, that's because ohmTown is over on twitch.tv. Oh, I'm debating co-streaming it over to YouTube as well. We'll see. It isn't that hard. I just don't do it. Because of the way that YouTube works. It's weird. Anyway, because this doesn't actually fall in line with the rest of the videos. It goes under the live category, and I want it to be the exact same.
Like you want it to be retained in a certain area.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's go on to the last article for today. Are you afraid of heights? The article's over in ohmTown Daily. Befriending a spider may help, say psychologists. The discovery opens up new perspectives for the efficient treatment of phobias, researcher Iris Kodzaga said. This sounds really familiar. So what y'all may not know is that I actually give a demonstration and an example. I used to give it a physical demonstration, but now I just give this example of my past research where I used VR and various detectors like pupil dilation, breathing rate, galvanic skin response, pulse, blood pressure, to detect if you are actively afraid of something. And here's what's really interesting about this is it says, are you afraid of heights? Befriending a spider may help. The 2 examples that I use is I can put you on a platform that's level with the rest of the ground and slowly raise you up off the ground. And as you are afraid, the platform will lower. So there's the afraid of heights element of it. The other example I give is I can plop a hyper realistic spider on the other side of the room, and it can stay small and stand where it is, or it can grow bigger and walk towards you. And in real time, you treat your own phobia because that spider either stays small and where it is, or it gets bigger and walks towards you based on the data that's coming off of the sensors. So coupled together, it is, if you're afraid of heights, you can befriend a spider and maybe it'll help you out and overcome efficient treatment of phobias. It's almost like I did this 35 years ago.
But I don't, is this like substituting one phobia for another, or
It might be
like, I
distraction
don't,
treatment. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So the article is over at newsweek.com by Jess Thompson. Facing your fear of spiders may also help you with other phobias, including a fear of heights, according to a new study. The new paper in the journal Translational Psychiatry reveals that when people are both afraid of spiders and heights, were treated for arachnophobia, their fear of heights also lessened by 15%. It was long assumed that if a person had multiple fears, they would require multiple exposure therapies tailored to their specific fear. That's actually why I created the idea of virtual reality phobia treatment. Our findings provide first evidence of generalization of exposure effects in spider phobia to another perceptually unrelated fear-evoking stimulus category, i.e. height, the authors wrote in the newspaper. So, and here's this may have been because they are both afraid of this and that overcoming and really becoming aware of what it is, the stimulus that is causing it, and coupling them together means that you are becoming more understanding of your own phobia, your own fear, your own anxiety, whatever it might be. And that is something that I've always believed is the way to the treatment. It isn't about how did you become afraid of a spider. I can see why some people would become afraid of a spider, particularly really hairy spiders. Sorry. Anyway, as long as you are aware of the mechanisms of fear and the results of them, then you can treat yourself. You don't have to talk to somebody about it because sometimes, and I don't know for sure. I'm not a subject matter expert. I'm not a psychiatrist or a psychologist. But based on what I understand, if you understand why you are afraid, like how you are afraid, then you can sit there and go, look, I'm afraid of the spider because it's hairy and because it's tiny and it shouldn't be walking around because hydraulics in a living being shouldn't exist, that kind of a thing. And you go, well, it's causing my heart to race and my skin to get sweaty and et cetera, et cetera. Understanding that is fundamental to overcoming your fear, because it isn't like PTSD where there is a cause directly and you have to come to grips with that cause. And it's sometimes existential. This is really about understanding how you became or how you become more anxious about the phobia, fear of heights, etc. So it says exposure therapy works by exposing people to their phobia in a safe environment in a way that gradually decreases their avoidance, which is what I was doing 35 years ago in VR. Anxiety rarely comes alone. Patients who suffer from one fear often subsequently develop another. And I'm not sure about develop another. They have another. It's not that they suddenly just go, hey, I've got this now too.
Right. Oh, let me multiply these.
Yeah. You know what? Like cats, one's bored. Let's get another one. The researchers measured the level of fear of both spiders and heights in 50 test subjects before and after they were treated with exposure therapy for their fear of spiders. I find this really fascinating. The level of fear was determined using questionnaire data as well as qualitative behavioral measures, including how far a person was willing to climb or how close they could approach a spider. This is literally my research. But I never published because I never came to a conclusion. I only gathered the data. And I fell out of love with psychiatry, because it was costing $250 to talk to, a therapist, or more. And that's why I came up with the idea of doing it all within VR and self-treatment. But it's by the industry and by society, it's either frowned upon entirely by the industry, or it's frowned upon the people because they don't think that there's always some, right? Self-help books, for instance, are basically, billion-dollar industry, but I don't know if people would go out and buy a VR headset so they can treat their own phobias, but I'm sure somebody is doing it
No,
now. Now
but
that
if
I
they
said
had
it out loud.
easy access to the VR headset for some reason, like maybe they already had it
Right.
to use for gaming or something, or I don't know, their doctor's office or somewhere had it.
Yeah. And there's the other problem. The liability that somebody might either be triggered and harm themselves would fall on the practice, the company that produces this non-medical medical device, and that becomes a whole healthcare issue. You would have to get authorized to actually call it a phobia treatment device. There's a lot of protectionism in there. So anyway, enough of that. But it's pretty neat that what I came up with literally 35 years ago is nearly a reality, because I don't know what the nature of the exposure treatment was. Because this is, I mean, they were climbing, but what were they climbing exactly? Where was um, the spider, and what kind of spider, that kind of thing? I'd be terrified of this, but I'm not afraid of spiders, if you know what I mean.
Right. Like you don't have to have a phobia to not necessarily want to be right near the spider.
Yeah, I'm not going to sit there and, lick it. But I'm also not going to be screaming out of the room. So, yeah, kind of fascinating. But I knew then that I was on the right track. I just didn't have the passion to pursue it like somebody else getting their doctorate would. Yeah, I like being more of a generalist than hyper focused. You lose a lot when you're hyper focused. Okay, well, anyway, that's it for today. We did all 10. Ta-da! So back on the party bus, all the way back downtown. Freddie Brown. And I'm going to mash the button. And I probably shouldn't. But anyway, there you go, folks. A whole bunch of articles ready to go. We'll be here tomorrow at 8 p.m. And then Saturday and Sunday, 6 p.m. And then 7 p.m. for Reality Hacker on Saturday and the Continuity Report on Sunday, where we talk about virtual reality, AR, VR, XR, artificial intelligence, and more. And then on Sunday, we talk about movies, TV, streaming, all kinds of stuff related to video-based entertainment. That's it. Ta-da. You want to say bye? Or wait, let me do it this way. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmTown.com. Up there is the artificial intelligence that keeps me out of trouble, and I'm not sure what they just did, but they'll say bye now.
Good night, ohmTown citizens. We will see you tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And I just realized the music stopped again. I don't understand. I'll figure it out. See y'all later. Bye-bye. What is making it not work? Bye, everybody.